Hey there everybody, this is Lee with Creative Two-Time Mom, and this video is going to be part of the Homeschool ABC Collab series. This week's letter is the letter G. G for games. The Homeschool ABC Collab series is a collaboration of all the homeschoolers here on YouTube. It's an open collaboration for any time you want to jump in and join. Each week we take a different letter of the alphabet and we talk about how it applies to our homeschool. So this week the letter is G. You could talk about games, you could talk about gyms, you could talk about geography, you could talk about geology. This week I am choosing to talk about games. We love games in this house, and I feel like they are a great way for my kids to learn and a great way for them to just kind of set aside the textbooks, still get a lot of practical learning experience, but kind of break up the monotony of the day. So I wanted to show you some of our favorite games that we are currently using, and I'm going to kind of work my way up from preschool on up to my middle schooler. There will also probably be a couple that I will mention, but I don't have them all here to show you. So let's start with the preschooler. He is learning to add and subtract, to count, and sometimes that can be really difficult, and a textbook can go through addition and subtraction very, very quickly. He's also learning to take turns. There's a lot of game play, taking turns, sharing that happens at this age. And actually, I think I said he was in preschool, but he's in kindergarten. So there's a lot of that going on at this age where there's just, if you don't stop to think about it, there's a lot of rules to actually playing a game. And so he's kind of in that stage right now. So one of them that he is loving right now is Hi-Ho Cherry-O. I love this game. All three of my kids have enjoyed it. It's gone through all three of them and it's still in great shape. So of course you have your tree. There's a cherry tree, there's an apple tree, there's two other types of different trees. You put the fruit on the tree, you spin the spinner and it tells you how many you can pick off and put it in your bucket. You are trying to pick off all your fruit before everybody else in the game, but if your basket spills, you might hit that on the spinner, then your fruit goes back on the tree. That is one way of playing this game, where you're competing against everybody else in the group. The other way you can play this game is there is a bird on the spinner, and if you choose to play the cooperative way, each time you spin the bird, a piece goes into a 6 or 9 piece puzzle, and if the puzzle is finished before everybody on the board has picked their fruit, the bird wins. If everybody on the board picks their fruit first before the puzzle is completed, then the group wins. And that's kind of a fun way too. We have different days where we do different things. I don't mind being competitive. I think it's fine. I think it's good to learn about losing and winning and being a good loser and a good winner, for lack of a better phrase. But there are days when he's 5 and he just emotionally can't handle it, and we play against the bird. We try to compete with getting all our fruit off before we finish the puzzle. So I like the adaptability of this game. I like the gameplay of it, and I really appreciate the fact that there's a lot of counting involved. That's a good one. If you're looking for other preschooler games, I've talked about Animal Upon Animal, the little stacking game. It was in my January favorites video. I've talked about, we all know Candyland is great, Chutes and Ladders is great. I'm thinking of some others. If you're talking about addition, of course, Monopoly. That's how we've taught all three of our kids to add, was with Monopoly dice. So preschool games, a lot of classics. And with preschoolers, you're looking for a lot of classics. Memory, I think, is a great one because it deals with logic and reasoning. It's a great game for preschoolers to get their minds sharpened. I can't hardly beat my older kids at memory anymore, and it bugs the crud out of me. As they get a little bit older, this is a fun one that we really enjoy, and I have done a review video on this before. This is called Alpha Bug Soup. Everybody has 4 bugs that start at their particular starting spot, and as you go, you will pick up these little tokens that have a letter on the other side. You have to identify the letter. Well, this is the way we play. Identify the letter, give the sound, and give a word that begins with that letter before they can move. And then I don't remember if it's dice or a spinner that tells you how many spaces you can move. But you have to do that with your letter before you're allowed to move. So this is a great one. You can change it and adapt it if your kids are learning the letters. Just make them identify the letter. If they're past that and they are working on sounds, have them give the letter and the sound. As you move even older, you can have them give a letter, a sound, and a word that begins with that letter. So it's progressive, and I appreciate that about that. There is also a cooperative aspect version of this game that you can change this game to being a cooperative game. We have not done that, so I don't know the rules for that, but I appreciate the fact again that this is one of those games that can kind of increase in difficulty and change as your kids change. It could be cooperative, it can be competitive, it could have different layers of what they have to do before they move. So I feel like you get a lot of longevity out of games like that. And this is by Learning Resources. I really like this one. This is probably one of my top recommendations for that older preschool, kindergarten age as far as letters go. Another fun one that is letter oriented, as you can tell, we talk about letters all the time. This is called Alphabet Scoop. It's by Scrabble. It's like, of course, a little soup pot, right? And you've got your little soup spoons. And then everybody gets a playing card, and again you can increase the levels depending upon what stage or age your kids are at. So you might just say, you know, we're just doing one word, we're doing two words, maybe we're going to do the entire card. Everybody gets a scoop. They scoop out some of these letter tiles, and within a certain amount of time, there's your letter tiles, within a certain amount of time you're trying to recreate these words with those letter tiles. If you scoop out a bug, because there are bug tiles in there as well, you have to dump all the letters that you have so far and start over again. And there is a time limit on this. So this is a lot of fun. And the other thing you can do as your kids get older and they're starting to read, have them sounding out the words. They don't, if the timer runs out, they don't get credit for the word unless they can sound it out or read it. That's kind of my rule, and I like that. Again, you guys will notice I love games that will grow with your kids and you get a lot of time and longevity out of them. Another one for that early elementary set actually is Uno, and we have had so many different variations of this game. This is a Paw Patrol. We've had the basic variation. We have had a Cars variation of this game. We just tend to wear them out because we play Uno over and over and over and over again. This is a lot of fun for recognizing numbers and colors. Again, gameplay, because there is rules to Paw Patrol like reverse and skip and wild, and so they're learning a lot of gameplay with this. And again, like I said, you know, the colors and numbers, this is a lot of fun. This starts at age 4, I believe. You could probably start at age 3 depending upon your kid. But this one is relatively inexpensive and I feel like a great basic but still a lot of fun game that you should include in your game closet. This game is also by Learning Resources. It's called Rolling in the Money. And I'm just going to show you this one because it's not one that's in a lot of people's closets. This one is good for money, which is where I'm at with my kindergartner right now. So you have your little baker. She's got a rolling pin. She looks like she's rolling out dough, right? And there's 4 dice. And this one has a D on it and it says 10 cents underneath it. So you know that's a dime, and a dime is worth 10 cents. Nickel 5, penny 1, my dice are starting to wear out. And then on some of them there's an X. So if you get an X on your dice, you get no points for that roll. And then you keep score on your score sheet. For each roll, you add up how much money that would be, and then that's what you put in your column. After 5 rounds, the person with the most money wins the game. So one of the things that we've done with this is just like we did with Monopoly when our kids were learning to add. If I was playing with Noah and he was learning to add, he would roll, he would count his dice, I would roll, he would still count my dice. And that's what we will do a lot of time with our kids. Mom and Dad will play, but you got to help us count up our dice, and that gives them good practice with money. The other thing we can do is get a cheap set of those plastic coins from the Dollar Tree or the dollar spot at Target. And when they roll a dime, then they also have to pick a dime out of the bag and lay it with it, so they can see the actual money and not just the D on the dice. They can start to recognize what it looks like, and then they do all the adding and scorekeeping. It's a lot of fun for kids. You think, oh, Mom and Dad, you're not even going to count your own dice. But a lot of times kids this age want to be in charge, and so they'll want to be the scorekeeper, and they will want to add your dice for you, and so that makes it a little bit easier into having them practice because they want to practice. Let's see. The next game I have, and the bag is wore out for this, so it's just in a Ziploc bag, but Phase 10. Now this is definitely for an older kid. This would be a game I would play with my middle schooler, maybe my 4th grader, but I would probably have her be a partner with me or my husband when we play, because it can be a little frustrating. It can be a little frustrating for me because there are several phases that you're working through. Everybody gets so many cards, and I might be on phase 1, so I have to get a set of 3. Whereas somebody else in the group might be on set 5, where they're getting a run of 4 and a set of 3. So it depends upon what phase you're on during that round. Everybody can be on completely different phases, and that's what screws me up, because I want to, somebody will lay something down, I'm like, but that's not right. And they're like, well, I'm on a different phase than you, so it works for them. Phase 10. This is a lot of fun. It's a great strategy game. It's a great reasoning game. Again, you're working with colors and numbers, but in a completely different way. So you really have to think about what you're doing and what phase you're on and how many points you're going to get. First person to complete all 10 phases gets a bonus, and then you add up the score from every round. This is a lot of fun. This is a good camping, electricity, lights out kind of game, because it takes a while to get through that one, and it keeps everybody on their toes. The last game I have here is called Sequence. I find a lot of people don't know about this game, but I really enjoy it. Again, it's one of those challenging reasoning type games. Everybody gets 7 cards, and they are like a deck of cards, right? Take out the jokers. I don't even know why jokers are included. They kind of drive me crazy. And then things like jacks. A 1-eyed jack, you can take somebody's token off the board. A 2-eyed jack works as a wild card. On your board, and I'll just show you half, this is about half of the board, you're trying to get a run of 5 cards on the board. Sometimes they're in sequence, like this one. Sometimes you might be working diagonal, so you're going in a 2 of hearts, an ace of diamonds, a 10 of hearts. You're basically just trying to get 5 of these squares covered. If there's 2 people playing, you're looking at getting 2 sequences of 5. If there's 3 people playing, you will each need to get 1, and you can actually play in teams as well. We've played in teams of 2 before. This is a lot of fun. It keeps you on your toes. I have played this with my 4th grader, and she's very good at it and does a great job, but most of the time I would say this is probably a middle school age game. And I think I had to order this. I don't think I've been able to find that in the stores. But if you find it in the stores, definitely get it, because that one's a lot of fun. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope it gives you some ideas of how to use games in your homeschool, what games your kids might enjoy, and maybe some new games that you've never heard of before. If you create a video for this playlist, make sure that you leave me a link down below, and let's continue the conversation in the comments down below as well. What are some of your favorite games in your home? Do you guys do a game night? What do your kids like to play? And what are you finding works really well in your homeschool? I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and we'll see you next time. Bye, guys.